Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are really digging into excerpts from Surah Al-Baqarah. That's chapter 2 of the Qur'an.
Right.
And it's known, it's one of the longest, most foundational chapters in the whole text. It acts like this massive blueprint, covering faith, history, even detailed social law.
Absolutely.
So our mission today is to try and navigate this huge text efficiently. We want to distill the core ideas, what belief means, what righteous action looks like, and maybe pull out some of the, surprising historical bits and social rules found in the sources.
And what makes it such a rewarding deep dive is its structure. It's quite sophisticated. It's not just, say, a list of rules.
Yeah.
It starts with these sort of eternal truths, defining who's guided, who isn't. Then it grounds all that with specific history, covenants, examples.
Okay.
And then it layers on detailed social, even financial laws. It moves kind of seamlessly from the cosmic right down to the civic.
And it kicks off with this incredible statement of confidence, doesn't it? The opening line is just, this is the book, there is no doubt about it. Sets the stage right away for absolute authority. But crucially, it says it's a guide for a specific group, those who are mindful of Allah. So what do the sources tell us about these people, the mindful?
Well, the source is pretty meticulous here. It lays out a clear definition. The truly mindful, they commit to certain core actions and beliefs.
Like what?
Okay, so they have to believe in the unseen things beyond what we can just perceive with our senses. They establish prayer. They donate from what they've been given.
Yay, charity.
Yes.
Right.
And they believe in all the revelations, past and present. And critically, they have this absolute certainty about the hereafter.
And if they meet these criteria?
Then the text promises they're successful. They're the ones truly guided by their Lord.
That's a really key point, because straight away the text draws this sharp contrast. You've got the guided and then, two types of unguided. The open disbelievers and then the maybe more complicated group, the hypocrites.
Exactly.
Let's start with the disbelievers. The sources seem to suggest that for them, warnings are kind of pointless.
Yes, that's the description. It portrays their state as this profound, almost willful spiritual blindness. It's the same whether you warn them or not, they just won't believe.
Why not?
Because the text says Allah has sealed their hearts and their hearing, and their sight is covered.
Okay, hold on. Allah sealed their hearts. Doesn't that sound like it takes responsibility away from them?
That does raise a really important question. But the context, usually within the source material, emphasizes the willful rejection that comes before the sealing happens.
Oh, okay.
It's often understood as like a consequence of their persistent denial, their refusal to engage. Their hearts get sealed because they've been so obstinate. It leads to this state of being profoundly unperceptive.
Got it. And then there are the hypocrites. In some ways, they seem like the more insidious threat in this text. They say they believe, but inside they're harboring doubt or denial. They try to deceive Allah, deceive believers, but the text is clear. They only end up deceiving themselves.
And they don't even realize it. That's the key. They're spiritually blind to their own deception.
What's really interesting is the specific social detail the source gives about them. It says when you tell them, hey, don't spread corruption in the land, their immediate response is, oh no, we are only peacemakers.
Right. It shows this deep inability to even recognize their own destructive actions. They genuinely think their deceit is somehow helping society.
Like the source insists they are the real corruptors. Their blindness is just complete.
Yeah.
And to make these ideas really stick, the sources use these incredibly vivid parables. They're like little movies in your head.
They really are.
Think about the one describing the disbeliever like someone who lights a fire. Just as it illuminates everything, poof, the light's snatched away.
Leaving them in this deep, deafening, blinding darkness.
Yeah. It's terrifying, that sudden loss of light. It symbolizes maybe a brief glimpse of truth they had, snuffed out by their rejection.
Exactly. And then contrast that with the second parable, the one describing people caught in a huge, heavy rainstorm.
Right, with the darkness, thunder, lightning.
They're so gripped by this fear of death, they're literally sticking their fingers in their ears.
Trying to block out the sound of, what? The divine command, divine power. They're constantly walking this edge of destruction.
The imagery really emphasizes that persistent existential anxiety that comes with rejecting truth. And this intense focus on human spiritual states, guided, blind, deceptive, it then transitions almost immediately to the cosmic origins of humanity. It sets the stage for everything that follows.
Okay, let's unpack that. This shift into cosmic history, the creation story, it starts with Allah announcing this plan, right? To place a successive human authority on Earth.
Correct. And right away, you get the first challenge to humanity, and it comes from, well, the highest authority just below the divine, the angels.
What's their objection?
They question the wisdom of it.
Yeah.
They ask, basically, are you sure about this? Won't this new authority just spread corruption and shed blood? Meanwhile, they, the angels, are already glorifying God and proclaiming his holiness.
And the divine response, it's pretty concise.
Very. Just, I know what you do not know.
Defining the limits of angelic knowledge right there.
And to prove humanity's unique potential.
Adam is taught the names of all things. This demonstrates a capacity for knowledge, for understanding, that the angels just don't have at that point.
Which leads directly to the command for the angels to prostrate before Adam.
Exactly. And the failure of Iblis, who refused out of arrogance, that becomes the source's primary definition of unfaithfulness.
So it's not just disobedience.
No, it's specifically arrogant refusal. Prideful refusal to submit to a divine command. And this sets the stage for the human fall.
Right.
You know, Satan deceiving Adam and his wife.
Leading to their expulsion, the instruction to descend as enemies to each other.
Right. But before we move fully into the historical examples, there's that really fascinating detail about divine testing using the parable of the mosquito.
Yes, this is key.
The source explicitly says Allah isn't shy about using a parable of a mosquito, or even what is smaller than that. What's the point there?
Well, the theological point of using such a seemingly insignificant creature is fascinating. It highlights that the mechanism of the test doesn't have to be some grand, obvious thing.
Okay.
The test itself, whether it's through a tiny creature or a major law, is what leads many to stray and guides many. It confirms that only the rebellious stray, those who break covenants, spread corruption. They fail the test because they reject the lesson, no matter how small or simple it appears.
Right. So connecting this back, all these cosmic and moral truths, they kind of set the stage for the next big section, which seems to be about historical proof. Proof that breaking your promises, your covenants, leads to serious trouble.
Precisely. This next section gives historical context, focusing mainly on the children of Israel. The source reminds the listener of these huge divine favors.
That deliverance from Pharaoh, who was tormenting them terribly, killing their sons. The miracle of parting the sea. Getting manna and quails in the desert. Huge interventions.
But these grand acts of salvation are immediately set against, well, profound failures on their part.
Absolutely. You see their immediate disobedience, worshiping the golden calf while Moses is away, and then the ultimate violation, rejecting divine signs and even unjustly killing the prophets.
And the text doesn't mince words about the outcome.
Not at all. It explicitly calls it a fair reward for their disobedience.
Wow. And the punishment for breaking the Sabbath covenant,
Yeah.
that's just astonishingly severe.
It is. Because they broke their promise to honor the Sabbath, the day of rest, they were condemned to become disgraced apes.
Apes? Seriously?
Yes, as a stark example, a lesson for everyone else for all time.
That is incredibly harsh. What does that severity tell us about how much weight the source puts on keeping a covenant? It shows that the whole relationship is built on that promise. The covenant isn't, negotiable. When it's treated lightly or broken, the consequences are dramatic. It serves as this permanent historical warning sign against disobedience and trying to twist the law.
Which kind of brings us to maybe the most curious story in this section, what you called the yellow cow mystery.
Ah, the cow, yes.
Moses commands them to sacrifice a specific cow, but instead of just doing it, they immediately react like he's mocking them.
Right.
And then they fall into this absurdly persistent questioning.
It's a perfect illustration of how evasion and skepticism can make simple obedience almost impossible. They start asking basic questions, then demand specifics. How old should it be?
Neither old nor young, but in between.
What color?
Bright yellow, pleasant to see.
What's its work history, basically?
Right. Unused for plowing or watering, totally wholesome, no blemishes.
And the irony, as you mentioned, is the more precise they forced the command to become, the harder it got to actually find such a cow, and the more it eventually cost them.
But this whole elaborate ritual, it turned out to have a very specific practical purpose they didn't know about at first.
That's the twist, exactly. They finally, reluctantly slaughter the cow. And then a piece of it is used to strike a dead body lying nearby.
Which revives the victim temporarily.
Just long enough to reveal who his hidden killer was. So the entire process, the questioning, delaying, the hyper-specific sacrifice, it was all necessary to uncover a truth the community was trying to hide.
It really reinforces that theme again. Faith often demands obedience, even when you can't see the logic behind it.
Precisely.
So, okay, we've gone from theology through cosmic history, these historical lessons about covenant failures. It all feels like necessary context before the text shifts to laying out the practical social life for the mindful community. So what does all this mean for everyday life?
Well, the discussion moves right into defining practical righteousness. And it makes a key point. Piety isn't just about, say, turning your faces towards the east or the west. It's not just ritual direction.
So what is it then?
The truly righteous person is defined by both belief and extensive action.
Okay, let's list those pillars again, because this seems like the complete definition of real piety in the text. It includes belief, obviously, Allah, last day, angels, books, prophets.
Yes, the fundamentals.
But then it immediately requires huge social action. Charity is central, giving away wealth you cherish to relatives, orphans, the needy, travelers, freeing captives.
It's extensive. And beyond that, fulfilling core obligations, setting up regular prayer, paying the required tax or charity, keeping your promises when you make them.
Keeping pledges, yeah.
And showing patience, steadfastness, especially during suffering, adversity, or even in the heat of battle. It's that combination, deep belief plus unwavering social responsibility, that defines the guided community.
And following that definition, the source then gets into some very specific legal areas, especially around money. The prohibition of interest, or usury, riba, is really stressed.
It is, and it's a major economic point. The source even directly addresses people who try to blur the lines, those who claim, oh, trade is basically the same as interest.
And the response?
Unequivocal. Allah has permitted trading and forbidden interest. Period. The reasoning given is that interest is seen as exploitative, inherently unjust.
And there are consequences for engaging in it.
Oh yes, both spiritual and economic. Interest is made fruitless. It leads nowhere good. Charity, conversely, is made fruitful. And those who consume interest, the image used is powerful. They stand on Judgment Day like those driven to madness by Satan's touch.
Wow. Complete instability then. Economic and spiritual chaos.
That's the implication. And this commitment to justice flows right into detailed contract law.
Right, protecting fairness in business dealing.
Exactly. The text emphasizes writing down any loan for a fixed period, doesn't matter if it's small or large, use a trustworthy scribe, get witnesses.
And the witness requirement itself is fascinatingly specific, isn't it, in its kind of social structuring?
It is 2 men, or if not, then 1 man and 2 women. And the reason given is explicit, so that if one of the women forgets, the other may remind her.
So the focus is purely on the integrity of the contract, making sure the testimony is accurate, verifiable.
Precisely. All aimed at protecting justice in commerce.
Okay, and the final area of law covered in our source material today deals with family life, specifically divorce, providing rules for stability but also fairness.
Yes. It outlines things like the woman's waiting period, 3 monthly cycles before she can remarry. And importantly, it addresses reconciliation. It states that a divorce can be retracted twice.
Meaning you can reconcile twice. But what about finality?
There's a clear structure for that, too. If a husband divorces his wife a 3rd time, that's it. He cannot remarry her unless she first marries another man and is subsequently divorced by him.
So there's a point of no return built in.
Correct. And the underlying principle, stated clearly, is that husbands who keep their wives must do so with honor, or if they separate, they must separate with grace.
Well,
no holding someone in limbo or causing emotional torment.
This has been quite a journey. It really shows the incredible scope of this surah. Al-Baqarah, foundational faith, cosmic history, ancient covenants, down to meticulous social guidance.
It really is comprehensive.
And before we wrap up, the text also mentions that key historical event, the one that perfectly captures this theme of obedience. The changing of the direction of prayer, the Qibla.
Ah, yes. Shifting from Jerusalem towards the sacred mosque in Makkah.
That wasn't just about geography, was it?
Not at all. The source itself says this change was assigned only to distinguish those who had remained faithful to the messenger from those who would lose faith. It was a pure test of obedience.
Whose loyalty was truly to the divine command versus just personal habit or maybe cultural expectation.
Exactly. It connects right back to the mosquito parable. The yellow cow obedience is required even when the reason isn't obvious or maybe seems inconvenient. And that whole profound cycle, divine expectation, human testing, our failures, it leads perfectly into the final, very powerful appeal that closes this section of the surah. It's the prayer the believers offer.
Which really captures the human condition, doesn't it?
Beautifully, they pray, "Our Lord, do not punish us if we forget or make a mistake." Then, Our Lord, do not place a burden on us like the one you placed on those before us. And finally, our Lord, do not burden us with what we cannot bear.
It's such a compelling endpoint. After laying out all this intense rigor, precise laws, meticulous contracts, absolute obedience, the highest form of piety expressed here is acknowledging human weakness.
Yes, acknowledging fallibility.
And asking not for an exemption from the law, but for the capacity and the grace to actually uphold it.
Well put.
So as you reflect on everything we've covered today from the source material, maybe consider this. What does that final plea asking for capacity, asking for relief from crushing burdens, what does that reveal about the essential, maybe compassionate relationship between God's expectations and our human limitations? That's definitely something worth mulling over.
Indeed. Until next time, keep digging.